Welcome everyone to another Canadian Yorker video. Happy New Year's Eve to everybody out there a lot in the world. Um, Happy New Year's Eve to everybody. It is not quite New Year's Day today. It's December 31st, where I am in New York. So we have not yet started New Year's Day today because it's December. But in a few hours, in about 11 hours from now, we will be singing Auld Lang Syne in 11 hours from now, and everybody will be popping the wines, popping bottles, doing their New Year's, instantly starting their New Year's resolutions. I know a lot of us have a lot of New Year's resolutions we have um, planned for the future. And so, but we can all start that today. But for this video today, I know for myself, I said I want to do a video once a day, every day for the year 2025. And I have, it's been a struggle, honestly, to actually keep up with all the all the news about what's going on. Of course, life got in the way and life is busy. But I'm just coming to you guys for the last video of 2025, December 31st, 2025. And we will start a new day on Thursday. So I just wanted to get that off my chest and also wish everybody Happy New Year's Eve. So in this live stream for today, we're going to be covering for the month of December. I know I've covered in November. I covered what has been going on with the 2026 World Cup. For this month, I'm kind of breaking it up into parts because there's a lot of news coming out about the World Cup and so many moving pieces. I'm just coming out with um, a few things about what's going down for this year in 2025. So there's a lot of things that have been happening, and it's been really exciting seeing all the amazing things going on. Um, so for the year of so for on December 2nd, I'm just going into this article just talking about the updated news about the World Cup. It says for December 2nd, 2025. Um, it says 2026 World Cup draw, five nightmare teams the U.S. men's national soccer team wants to avoid. So of course, when I do my videos on the World Cup, the World Cup will be played. If some of you are not aware, the World Cup will be played across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, with the United States holding the majority of the World Cup matches occurring in 16 or 15 cities across the United States. So we who are here in the United States are holding the majority of the matches occurring here. Of course, the final for the World Cup will take place in Newark, then inside East Rutherford, New Jersey. That's at the New York Jets and New York Giants Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Also, where the second largest mall in the United States is the American Dream Mall. I really love going there. It's a great place. If anyone gets a chance, that's a really great spot to hang out. So it's great location. But let's get into this article here. So it's here talking about the 2026 World Cup. This is from onefootball.com. It says the 2026 World Cup will finally start to take shape on Friday with the draw that will determine the matchups for the group stages. The draw is a random but vital part of the World Cup journey for every team, including the U.S. men's national soccer team. As a co-host, the Americans will have the benefit of being in Pot 1, which should help give Mauricio Pochettino's side a favorable setup to advance to the knockout stage. However, that is far from this certainty, as there are plenty of good teams lurking outside of Pot 1 in anticipation of the draw. Let's look at five teams the U.S. is hoping won't be placed in its group for next summer's World Cup. So there are five teams that the United States, of course, will wants to avoid playing in the World Cup. And trust me, the United States is not known for soccer. We are not a soccer nation. This is probably the last place and I would want to pick to have the host of FIFA World Cup. But of course, it's also a big money draw, of course. But anyway, going into this article here, I just need to refresh the page because the page went white. I hate it when that happens on this computer. Anyway, going on, we have the first country, Norway. There's a strong likelihood that whatever group Norway is in will end up being the group of death, despite the fact that the Norwegians are making their first appearance at the World Cup since 1998. Norway is the near consensus pick for the best three in Pot 3. They are coming off a flawless qualifying campaign that saw them score 37 goals and concede just 5, with Manchester City's Erling Haaland being the leading scorer in all of the World Cup qualifying. Norway could end up being only the second toughest opponent the U.S. men's national team has to play during the group stage, which would complicate the path to the knockout stage. The next country, of course, is Ghana. Ghana is a powerhouse team. They love soccer in Ghana. Going into it, it says, for what it's worth, the current Ghana team isn't as good as past versions. The Black Stars didn't even qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations, which gets underway later this month, which is, by the way, already occurring right now in Norway. And you've probably seen my past live stream on that. You can check it out. However, Ghana didn't qualify for the World Cup, and outside of some of the European teams participating in the March playoff, the Black Stars are arguably the best team in Pot 4. That means Ghana's group is likely to be among the toughest in the tournament. Also, while the U.S. men's national team exercised some demons with a win in 2014, it's impossible to ignore the history between these two teams, with the Black Stars eliminating the U.S. in both 2006 and 2010. Given the history, the United States national teams would rather just see about any other team in Part 4. Next country is Morocco, where the next World Cup is going to be held in 2031. After reaching the semifinals of the 2022 World Cup, Morocco is a team to watch closely next summer. The Atlas Lions are loaded with players from elite European clubs, making them arguably the best team in Part 2. The U.S. also has a troubling recent history with Morocco at a youth level, with both the under-20 and under-17 teams were knocked out of the World Cups by Morocco earlier this year. The under-23 side was also eliminated by Morocco in the quarterfinals of last summer's Olympics. While those results don't have much bearing on the full national team, it would certainly be a bad omen for the Americans to get in a group with Morocco, especially since the Atlas Lions would likely be favored over the U.S. men's national team to win the group. The next group is Colombia, another team from Part 2 that the United States would like to avoid. The Americans were embarrassed by Colombia 5-1 last summer before the epic Copa America failure. While much has changed since that game for the U.S. men's national team, the Americans still don't want to have anything to do with the Los Cafeteros. Despite a modest qualifying campaigns, the Colombians have a good mixture of talent and experience that makes them a dark horse to win the World Cup. Not to mention a team the U.S. would prefer to avoid during the group stage. It'll be hard for the U.S. to qualify to have to avoid a quality opponent from Part 2 being placed in this group, but it would be a great to avoid Senegal. Other than Morocco, the Lions of Teranga have the shortest odds to win the Group World Cup of any African side. They reached round 16 of the 2022 World Cup and have an impressive 3-1 friendly win over England this past June. The Senegalese have the type of athleticism and the European club experience that could give the U.S. men's national team fits. While it wouldn't be the end of the world to be grouped with Senegal, there are plenty of teams in Part 2 that the U.S. men's national team would rather face early in the tournament. So we have that right there. We got the 5 teams the U.S. men's national team definitely wants to avoid. We have Norway, Ghana, Morocco, Colombia, and last but not least, we have Senegal from the Arctic North, and then you have the other team that is Colombia from South America. Those are good teams. So the U.S. definitely doesn't want to play those teams in the qualifying stages. Otherwise, it would not be any good for them. So I want to move on to the next article here. Um, so we have unprecedented ticket prices. I know I've put this in the title. Unprecedented 2026 World Cup ticket prices spark wild accusations against FIFA. Now, we're going to be talking about that later down the line for today's show. So, FIFA has been shoved, like, I was going to put it this way. FIFA has charged a lot of, they charged a lot of money for the ticket prices. But we're gonna see. Let's look at this article from December 3rd, 2025. That's on Sports Illustrated. So it says FIFA has firmly responded to calls of immortality. Um, I kind of want to know what the whole situation with that is. So it says here, FIFA, World Soccer's governing body, has been accused of taking the role of scalpers in an unprecedented ticketing resale scheme for the 2026 World Cup. The backlash against the prices of tickets for this summer's global jamboree was swift and severe. Initially, fans were taken aback simply by the face value figures slapped on seats, with sums rapidly spiraling towards four digits as early as the quarterfinals. Yet those eye-watering numbers would soon pale in comparison to the fees spat out by the uncapped resale system FIFA is operating. Taking advantage of regulations or lack thereof unique to the United States and Canada, two nations which will between them host 91 of the 104 World Cup fixtures in 2026. FIFA is legally entitled to run their own official resale platform, which banks them 30% of every secondary transactions, which has caused an uproar. Football Supporters Europe, the FSC, and the campaign group Euro Consumers penned a strongly worded letter to FIFA's chief operating officer, Hamo, I can't even say his name, Sergi. Forgive me if I'm saying his name wrong. Um, As I said, this week, which lambasted the organization's exploitation of the rules. According to the letter, it says, quote unquote, the fact that scalping is legal doesn't mean that FIFA must ever become the scalper. It says, the letter continues, saying, quote, same statement as implementing such a strategy will be perceived as revenue maximization under the guise of responding to market realities. The World Cup is not a commercial product like any other. It is a global current cultural event that depends on the passion, loyalty, and inclusion of ordinary fans. Close. And continuing, we fear that fans will continue to feel excluded and exploited by a pricing model that fails to reflect the spirit of the World Cup. Close quote. There were more than 4.5 applications for FIFA's first window of resale tickets when they opened this in October. The hordes of jostling online buyers was music to the ears of the Global Federation's accountants, thanks in part to the unprecedented fee FIFA has entitled themselves to. Whereas resale prices were previously capped for past World Cups, FIFA has taken off any restrictions this year thanks to the nature of the unregulated markets in the US and Canada. The right page strikes again. All right, we need the page. Let's go down. Continuing. Yes. So, continuing. FIFA has previously taken no more than 10% of these resale fees, but now stands to bank 15% from the buyer and 15% from the seller. That means FIFA can earn $300 for every $1,000 spent on its resale site. Say that one unhappy customer is trying to get rid of their ticket, perhaps the prospect of VAR being the rule on quotas is too much to bear. They can head to FIFA to cash in, entitled to list their seat for any price they deem fit. Let's suppose that this hypothetical seller puts this ticket up for $1,000. Any VAR enthusiast trying to get to North America would have to pay $1,150 for that ticket, with the 15% price, with the 15% hike at $150 going straight in FIFA's pocket. The disenfranchised fan getting rid of their seat, however, would only earn $850, with the 15% of their sale fee, $150, also going to, you guessed it, FIFA. The governing body insists they are simply playing to the rules of this cutthroat game. A FIFA statement said, quote unquote, This is also a reflection of the treatment of the secondary market for tickets, which has a distinct legal treatment than in many other parts of the world. FIFA also argued that resale fees will also put people off buying large tranches of tickets with the sole purpose of selling them again for a profit. FIFA are the only ones allowed to make money, which is their right, of course. They are allowed to make money, but and people should, people have the right to buy tickets. But if they don't want to sell the tickets, if they want to, they decide they want to go, they do have to sell the tickets and make a profit off of it. But that even though FIFA has complete control of the resale, even if they sell the tickets, the money, the profit, part of that money is going to go to FIFA. So I could see where not everybody's going to get their money back completely. A continuing article here, it says not all doom and gloom on the ticket front. Before getting to the resale stage, fans have taken issue with the dynamic pricing system FIFA has implemented, which sees prices fluctuate wildly, often upward in response to demand. The FSC and Euro consumers insisted that this system, quote, has no place in football, close quote. FIFA has backed down in the guard and vowed to not use a dynamic or variable pricing system when they release the next batch of tickets. Yet FIFA wouldn't accept all the blame. In the words of the governing body, their model, quote unquote, reflects the existing market practice for major entertainment and sporting events within our hosts on a daily basis, soccer included. So, of course, it seems like that they have based their model based on the supply, America's model of supply and demand. And of course, we know um, in the U.S. we have the whole thing of supply and demand. Of course, we have if there's a demand for FIFA ticket prices. If people want a lot of people want ticket prices, tickets to go to the FIFA. The prices of if the demand is high, the the tickets are going to be so few in demand. That's going to be a lot of money. But if it's the demand is low, then you're going to have an inverse where the tickets are going to be not that expensive. And so I can see where they're coming from with the Eurocentric thing. Well, we're going to get into that later about the whole ticket situation. It says here, this is from December 6th, World Cup 2026 Group D draw match schedule. So it's talking about the match schedules for Group D and Group C. So continuing here, it says, as the main host of the 2026 World Cup, the United States is set to commence the country's most impactful soccer tournament in decades, if not ever, as the FIFA tournament begins. The U.S. men's national team, held by Mauricio Pochettino, was pre-drawn into Group D and will be gearing up for showing on home soil, knowing an impressive tournament could boost the profile of both the team and the sport across the country. At the 2026 World Cup draw, the U.S. men's national team has scheduled to place in the group stage with three matches to prove their worth and secure a place in the coveted knockout stage. Paraguay, Australia, and the winner of the UEFA playoff Path C will join the host nation in what is considered one of the easier groups drawn on December 5th. The sporting news brings you an overview of Group D, where the United States will set the stage for a potential run through the knockout stage and hope to begin their quest for the first ever World Cup title. So in Group D, we have the United States, Paraguay, Australia, and then the winner of whoever wins in number four, Slovakia, Kosovo, Turkey, and Romania. Um, so we already have three of them already set. The fourth one that has not been set yet. And then we have the times when they will be playing. So from June 12th, we have Friday, June 12th, Saturday, June 13th, Saturday, June 20th, um, Friday, June 19th, Thursday, June 25th, and Thursday, June 25th. So you have the matches already set right there. So, and the United States is playing Paraguay at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, on at 9 p.m. And then we have those matches already set right there, so you can burn that into your eyes for when that will happen. And then we have the Group D teams. Okay, the United States, it says as the main host of the World Cup, the pressure will be on the United States team to carry the sport forward in this country in hopes of establishing itself among the premier footballing nations in the world. United States men's national team fans have dreams of being considered one of the best national teams in the world, and while they understand that it is a decades-long process, this opportunity to take a leap in that regard cannot be passed up. Um, I'm just skipping ahead here. The national team is anchored by Christian Pulisic, who is undoubtedly the most talented player in the U.S. men's national team's history. The presence of Chris Richards, Weston McKennie, and Anthony Robinson makes this U.S. squad the strongest ever, but they have to prove they can reach new heights on the field before this generation can be anointed as the greatest this national team has ever had. Um, as it has been for years, the benchmark for the U.S. men's national team at the World Cup has been reaching the quarterfinals. They have only done so once in the modern history of the tournament in 2002 when they beat Mexico in the round of 16. As such, it stands that the United States men have never won a game against a non-CONCACAF opponent in the World Cup knockout stage. Reaching that level is a goal at this tournament. Anything less on home soil would be considered not only a disappointment but a massive missed opportunity. So we have our FIFA ranking. We are ranked number 14th. Our regional ranking is first in the CONCACAF. We have 0 World Cup titles. Our World Cup appearances have been 11. Last one in 2022. Um, we have automatically qualified with a host, so we automatically qualify. And there we have it, guys. And then we have, we're just kind of going over. I'm just gonna skip through some things. Australia is the next one on the in the group. Australia is ranked number 26, and the regional ranking is fourth in the AFC, the Asian Federation, and Soccer Federation. They have not won a World Cup, and the last World Cup appearance was in Qatar, and so there we have it. We have Paraguay. Paraguay is ranked number 39, and their regional ranking is 6, and they have not won a World Cup. They have appeared 8 times in the World Cup. The last appearance was in 2010. So it's been a while since Paraguay was in the World Cup. So there we have it. We already have 3 of the teams already set. The fourth one is set to be, um, set in. So we'll find out what's happening with that. Um, the the other article here, I think this is crazy, but according to this article from December 7th here, it says a supercomputer predicted who is going to win the World Cup in 2026, which I think is quite crazy. Um, we don't know who's going to win, but according to the supercomputer, it says that England will be looking to end 60 years of hurt as they are among the favorites to win the trophy after a stunning qualifying campaign that saw them winning all of their matches without conceding. It's according to a new World Cup supercomputer via JeffBlue.net, which has projected that what the tournament will look like after the draw was made on Friday. Is bad news for the Three Lions. That is because Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo have been tipped to lift the trophy at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey on July 19th. However, England has been predicted to make it to the semifinals of the World Cup. More specifically, the supercomputer has made the following predictions for the round of 16, where Wales and Scotland will join Thomas Tuchel's side. France will beat Germany 1-0. The Netherlands will win 2-1 against Wales. Brazil will defeat Ecuador 1-0. England will beat Scotland 1-0. Spain will win against Colombia 1-0. Australia will beat South Africa 2-1. Argentina will beat Turkey 3-2. And Portugal will win against Switzerland 3-1. So, according to this supercomputer, it says that the quarterfinals will see France beating the Netherlands 3-2. Spain will win against Australia with a score of 2-0. England will defeat Brazil 2-0, and Portugal will eliminate Argentina with a score of 3-2 in the final over clash between Ronaldo and Messi. Now that is TV time right there. To see Ronaldo finally clash against Messi would be monumental. And Messi, for Ronaldo to beat Messi would be something. And then you have the England and Portugal clashing, as well as France and Spain, where Portugal has been tipped to, they get in a draw and they win against Portugal against Spain. France beats France. Spain beats France 1-0. So there we have it, guys. A supercomputer predicts that Portugal might win against, Portugal might win it all. Um, of course, when Messi has had his chance to shine, but Cristiano Ronaldo needs to win. He definitely needs to win a World Cup for Portugal. I don't think I've ever seen Portugal win a World Cup, but if they did, it would be huge, huge for Ronaldo, and Ronaldo can retire after he's done. Okay, yes, I'm saying it. Ronaldo can retire right after he's done with the World Cup. Well, we'll see what happens with that. So supercomputer says that Portugal wins. We'll have to see what's going to happen. Um, Going forward, FIFA World Cup schedule will be gained by city. This is from MLS Soccer. So we already got the schedule here. The 2026 World Cup will feature 48 teams and 104 matches to be played in 16 cities across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So we have the group stages in Group H. We have Cape Verde versus Spain on June 15th. Um, from June 15th to June 27th, we have uh, all these different stages happening. Group H, Group A, Group H again, Group C, and Group K. Those are the group stages. Then you have the advanced stages, where the knockout stages are going to happen from July 1st to July 15th. Um, and that's for Group C, A, and K. And then we have June 23rd, we have Group C, Group L, and Group I having the groups happen. The knockout stages occur from June 9th to June 29th to June 9th. So of course, everybody can read this article here. Um, they have all these occurring in different places. The first one's happening in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And then the next one we have happening in Boston, Massachusetts, and Dallas, Texas is where these other stages are happening. In Mexico, Estadio Akron, in Guadalajara, and Houston, Texas, in the United States. In Kansas City, Missouri, we have the Gay Hot Field at Arrowhead Stadium. That's the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium in Los Angeles, California. SoFi Stadium, Mexico City. Of course, everybody can read up on the information. I've already included the links to these articles so everybody can read up on them, where each of the uh, matches will be happening. So you can all read it up for yourselves. Next part right here, FIFA World Cup draw for the 2026 tournament. I'm just skipping ahead here. This is for the James Briggs Challenge from Mexico. Says here, it's hard to believe that the long, pompous, and at times cringeworthy World Cup draw ceremony in Washington has set a promising tone for the 2026 World Cup. I hope to be proved wrong, but a tournament with the 48 nations already looks loaded, and the addition of round of 32 means that the first 16 days will produce 108 hours of football to eliminate just 16 teams. Excuse me. It feels that if the real action will not start until the knockout stages at the end of the month, at least with the draw completed, we know more or less who Mexico will face in the summer. Will they be involved when the tournament starts to warm up with the knockout stages? For Mexico should qualify for Group A, particularly given their home advantage. Yet there are reasons for concern. They face South Korea, South Africa, and a yet to be determined European nation, which will not be known until the European playoffs at the end of March. Um, so continuing here, it says here, it will certainly, I'm just skipping ahead, it will certainly test the Mexican team, and their own fans have concerns about this year. Started well enough for the Mexicans with coach Javier Aguirre guiding them to two regional trophies, the CONCACAF Nations League finals and the CONCACAF Gold Cup. But neither tournament caused great ripples in the world stage. They did beat their fellow World Cup host Canada in the Nations League and the U.S. in the Gold Cup. With countries wanting to familiarize themselves with the World Cup venues, September brought games against South Korea and Japan, both ending in respectable if unspectacular draws. The international weekends in October and November saw a series of poor results against South American opponents, the home crowd even booing Mexico off the pitch after a 0-0 draw with Uruguay. The feeling is that this is not a particularly strong Mexican team, and this time around lacks a strong European club players that often add a backbone of experience. So Raul Jimenez is still playing at Fulham but is now 34, and as his team slides down the Premier League table, there have been murmurs from fans that the veteran can no longer influence a game. Santiago Jimenez plays for AC Milan and is noted for moments of brilliance and periods of inconsistency. At 24, he needs to make the jump from promising star to established star, and a home World Cup is just the arena to do that. Um, doesn't help the Mexican cause that they will play South Africa first. That is probably the weakest of the four teams, and a draw would be disappointing for Mexico. A defeat with a harder team still to come would be a disaster. Um, so it says these two sides met in the opening game of 2020 World Cup, which ended in a 1-1 draw, and is still remembered for a stunning goal from South Africa's Sifwi Tshila Babala. Um, Next summer, the roles will be reversed with Mexico the home side. This gives them considerable advantage of playing at a high altitude of 87,000 home fans. The South African side will be largely made up of home-based players that might be a problem for them. Um, so it says here, at the top level, a few teams, including Mamelodi Sundowns, champions for the last 8 seasons, are extremely well organized, and the players enjoy world-class facilities, coaching, and care. Continuing, just skipping ahead, the league is also noted for arguments and disputes, and this touched the national team having easily beaten Lo Solo as South Africa faced the protests over the inclusion of Tabo Mokoena, who picked up the yellow cards against Benin in November 2023 and Zimbabwe in June of 2024. He was banned for the next game, something that South African officials overlooked during the long intervening period. As a result, South Africa had 3 points deducted and went into the final round of games with qualification on the knife edge. The South Africans won at home, and Benin, ahead of them going into the last day, lost to Nigeria, a combination of results that saved South Africa the embarrassment of elimination. Um, so we have a number of teams. We have, Mexico is going to be facing South Africa. So it looks like they're also going to be facing South Korea and Denmark, which could also be one of the teams that they could be facing in their own group stage. So um, we have a number of teams that another European team. They could face Denmark. They could face the Czech Republic. They could even face Croatia, which is interesting here. So we don't know what's going to be going on with Mexico if they could make it out of the stage. But just like the United States, this is not going to be a walk in the park for Mexico or the United States because they have the dark horse teams that could help them, that could defeat them and move on to the knockout stage and the group stage. Um, so I'm just skipping ahead here. I've included this article in the description box for everybody to check out. So I don't have all the time to read through everything. So I'm just going to skip ahead here and I'm going to move forward to the next part here, sportingnews.com. Mexico pot in World Cup draw, where the Mexicans will be selected. Here, this is from Sporting News. Mexico co-hosts next year's World Cup, making it the third time football's biggest tournament has landed in the country. In 1970, Pele's Brazil captured the imagination of fans across the globe as they swept to glory in Mexico. 16 years later, after Colombia had to withdraw from its hosting commitments, The Latin American nation welcomed FIFA's showpiece once again. This time, Diego Maradona introduced the defining performances of his career as he inspired Argentina to a second world title. It remains to be seen which superstars of today will put themselves in that company at the 2026 World Cup tournament. But what are the chances of Mexico thrilling home supporters with a solid run into the latter stages? Their group stage opponents, plus their potential path through the knockout phase, will be determined by the draw on December 5th. The pot into which they have been placed for that ceremony in Washington, D.C. could be significant importance to their chances of a deep run in the tournament. So Mexico will be placed in pot one of the 2026 World Cup draw. It is tradition that every host country at each World Cup ceremonies to placed in pot one and pre-drawn into specific groups. This is so FIFA can maximize the host nation's presence at the competition, ensuring that they are placed in preferred locations to give them the most effective exposure. In addition, a host placement in Pot 1 gives them a slightly on a competitive level, giving them a boost in the draw so they are well placed to advance as far as possible. Mexico cannot be drawn in a group with any other Pot 1 team. This means they cannot be pitted against fellow co-host Canada or the U.S. Any of the top-ranked teams of the tournament, such as number world ranked Spain, the reigning world champions Argentina, or Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal. So the top 9 teams are based on FIFA's rankings that go in Pot 1 alongside 3 co-hosts. The next 12 best teams go into Pot 2 and so on. So, according to this article here, I just want to kind of skip forward here. The teams in the World Cup playoffs. The following teams are taking part in the World Cup playoffs next March and are therefore still in the chance of qualifying for the finals. And we have a number of European teams right there, from Italy, Wales, Northern Ireland, Bosnia Herzegovina, Ukraine, Poland, all the way down to Suriname. We have a number of teams playing there, so a lot of European teams: the Democratic Republic of Congo, Jamaica, New Caledonia, Iraq, Bolivia, Suriname. Okay, so there we have it. We have Mexico already in the World Cup draw, but they so have to see where they're going to land. It's not determined yet. I'm kind of skipping forward here. Um, I know I'm talking a lot about the draw, and the reason why the draw is so much it's complicated now is because we have a lot of teams nowadays. There's 48 teams now. Before there were 32, but now there's 48, and that's a lot of teams, a lot of countries that are in the World Cup. Excuse me. Because the moment football fans have circled their calendars arrives on December 5th as FIFA World Cup final draw unfolds live from Washington, D.C. This expanded 48-team extravaganza, co-hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada, promises groups that could ignite passions and reshape legacies across the globe. With 12 groups set from Group A to Group L set to emerge, the stakes feel electric, blending raw competition with the kind of unpredictability that turns underdogs into heroes. Um, I'm going to skip ahead here. I want to see if there is, oh, there's nothing here. It says inside the Grand John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, the draw kicks off at 5 o'clock GMT time, or 12 o'clock local time, transforming a cultural landmark in the football's command center. This isn't a dry administrative affair, but a polished production running around 90 minutes, complete with celebrity presenters and legends from the pitch drawing the teams. Um, Picture icons like past World Cup winners stepping up to reveal fates, their hands pulling balls that could spark joy or heartbreak for millions watching worldwide. Um, So, of course, it tells us when it's going to be happening. Broadcasters like FIFA Plus, NBC Sports, and Sky Sports beam it globally, drawing viewers who crave not just the matchup, but the theater of it all. It's a reminder of why this sport grips us so tightly, turning a simple lottery into a shared global pulse. So there we have it from this article here that just telling us, letting us know that the World Cup draw is here. So I'm skipping ahead. So according to this article from December 4th, we already have the World Cup rankings for every nation. Um, so it says here the 2026 World Cup presented an opportunity for teams than ever before to reach the finals. In North America, 48 teams will take place from up to 32 at Qatar 2022. So it says here, I'm going to skip ahead. The FIFA World Cup Rankings 2026 updated list of every World Cup nation. FIFA's allocation of spots for the World Cup was based on its most recent rankings from November 2025. The nine highest ranking nations, along with the co-hosts the United States, Canada, and Mexico, were seated in Pot 1. So we have Spain is ranked number one. Spain is ranked number one, of course. Next up, we have Argentina, ranked two. France is ranked three. England is ranked four. Brazil is ranked five. Portugal is ranked six. Netherlands is ranked seven. Belgium is ranked eight. Germany is ranked nine. Croatia is ranked 10. So we have the top 10 FIFA ranks right there for five countries. Morocco is ranked 11th. Colombia is no ranked 12th. Colombia is ranked 13th. United States is ranked 14th. Mexico is ranked 15th. Uruguay is ranked 16th. Switzerland, excuse me, is ranked 17th. Japan is ranked 18th. Senegal is ranked 19th. And Iran is ranked 20th. Um, so kind of skipping down here, we already have the various ranking systems. Um, and interestingly, we have, I mean, you can read up on this for yourself, for everybody for yourself. We have a lot of different countries ranked in their ranking system. Haiti is ranked 84th. You have Curacao ranked 82nd. Ghana is ranked 72nd. Cape Verde is ranked 68th. Saudi Arabia is ranked 60th. Interesting. So we have these different ranking systems. So it says FIFA's rankings of teams in 2026 World Cup playoffs prior to the World Cup draw on December 5th. 2025. The identity of 42 of the 48 finalists were known. The other six spots will be settled in March 2026. Four teams will emerge from the 16 who enter the UAFE playoff path, while the Inter-Confederation path will be whittled down from six. So the 22 nations concluding the final round of playoffs in order for the FIFA rankings. Italy is 12th, Denmark is 21st, Turkey is 25th, Ukraine is 28th, Poland is 31st. So wow, I mean it is quite complicated now because we have a lot of different things here going on. So it says here how our FIFA rankings calculated. FIFA rankings have existed since 1922 and uses a point scoring system to work out standings. The method for calculating FIFA rankings was originally changed in August 2018. This new system works by adding or subtracting points from a team's previous total based on results rather than using an average number of points earned over a certain period. The number of points added or subtracted is influenced by the calibre of opponent a team faces. Um, for example, beating a team ranked inside the top 10 will result in more points being gained than defeating a side ranked outside the top 20. The expected result of the game will also impact the number of points gained. So specific games are given more weight. So winning a World Cup match will result in more points than claiming a victory in an international friendly. Um, so there we have it, guys. So matches decided by penalty shootouts are a factor as well, with losing teams giving the same points as for a draw, while winners only get points equivalent to half a win. Losing knockout matches of final competitions won't result in teams losing any points. So there we have it. So it's quite complex. Um, so we have a lot of interesting information about the FIFA rankings, and we already know where most of the countries are standing, and there's going to be a tournament for who's going to win next. Next up, I'm going to be going over, the next part of the show. We're going over Canada's. Talking about Canada's world, where Canada is right now, and this is from Sports Illustrated. Right, dreams and nightmares. Canada's possible 2026 World Cup groups. So the Canadian men's national team will find out its opponents for the 2026 FIFA World Cup stage on December 5th. So we had the Jesse Marsh's team ended the 2024 international calendar ranked number 26 in the world, a seed that would have been seen them as part three team in most World Cup groups. Yet, as hosts alongside the United States and Mexico, they were auto-placed in Group D and Part 1, avoiding some of the world's best teams. Over the last several years, Canada has tested itself against opponents from CONCACAF, UFA, CONMEBOL, AFC, and CAF to best prepare them for the World Cup. With those experiences in mind, Sports Illustrated picks the different and worst groups Canada could get, not based on the current FIFA standing, but how Canada could stack up. So we have the best potential group is Australia, Scotland, and New Zealand that Canada could be facing. Um, so I'm just skipping ahead a little bit. So Canada could be those are the best possible matchups for Canada in Group D. Um, so we have the second best type of group, Iran, Ivory Coast, and Ivory Coast, and Jordan. Those are the next best group for Canada to face in the World Cup. Now you have the worst types of groups Canada could be facing: Morocco and Norway, and a European team that could be Italy, Northern Ireland, Wales, Bosnia, or Bosnia. So we have three of those American teams that could be the next team Canada could face, could have a matchups, and they would be the worst matchups for Canada. Um, then they have the second worst teams Canada is facing. Canada is grouped in with Colombia, Egypt, or and Ukraine, or Sweden, or Poland, or Albania, which would be bad matchups for Canada going into it. So, honestly, we'll have to see what's going to happen with that. In Canada, the next best, well, let's just say they're still tough because they're facing Colombia, Scotland, and Ghana. Those are already powerhouse teams. Those are the same teams that the United States wants to avoid playing. So you have to see what group Canada's going to be in. Um, so I'd say FIFA is doing something new this year. They're updating their rules. One of the new updates that they're doing is the 2026 World Cup to feature hydration breaks in every half. So they're going to be taking breaks during the World Cup so the players can get their bodies hydrated because when the Club World Cup happened this year, a lot of the players were struggling to maintain their health because they were not getting enough water, and they complained a lot about it because the summer in the United States can get quite hot. It depends on in different variations because the United States has all kinds of different um, environments, from deserts to forests to rainforests to grasslands. It, the summer in the United States varies in different areas across the country. So it says here every 2026 World Cup game will pause for 3-minute hydration breaks in each half. FIFA has announced new measures will be introduced to prioritize players' welfare amid expectations of high temperature next summer. Next summer, expand the tournament in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Um, it will see every game, regardless of weather conditions, pause at the 22nd mark, effectively turning the match into four-quarter affairs. The decision was made after consultation with coaches and broadcasters. FIFA says it is a streamlined and simplified version of the breaks used at some previous tournaments, including FIFA World Cup 2025. At least last summer's Club World Cup water breaks were used, but only in games in extreme heat. Some games at the tournament topped 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So Benfica forward Andreas Strent, I can't even say his last name. Andreas said, "I don't think I've ever played in such heat. After playing against Bayern Munich, I don't think it's healthy to be honest, but I managed to get through it." Chelsea's and Enzo Fernandez added in the tournament. The other day, I got a bit dizzy during a play. I had to lie down on the ground because I was really dizzy. Playing in this temperature is very dangerous. Um, so, of course, I've covered this before. A lot of the players voice their concern with playing in the heat in the summer. It gets very hot in the United States. Temperature can drop and can rise to 100 degrees Fahrenheit or even more in playing in certain parts of the country. We're dealing with, we're talking about the United States is what, 3,000 miles? Well, actually 3,000 miles, what a big country. And the summer in the United States can get quite hot, and playing in the heat somebody can die from heat exhaustion. So that's not a good thing. I definitely think this is great for the players to be able actually to take breaks. They need to take breaks. They cannot be running themselves like workhorses, during the tournament going on. They have to take breaks and rest themselves and continue playing. Um, it has to happen. This because they've addressed it a lot over the Club World Cup when it happened. So going on, moving forward here, I'm glad to see that's going on. Next, now we're talking about these ticket prices, like I mentioned in the very beginning this this live stream. And the ticket prices is what is could be a death sentence for the FIFA. So FIFA has been paying attention to it. So according to this article here, so um, it says here laughable World Cup ticket prices branded a slap in the face for English fans. England fans claim they have been slapped in the face by FIFA after it was revealed a run at to the World Cup final would cost supporters over £5,000 for tickets. The pricing policy was described as laughable by Football Supporters Association's England Fans Assembly, while Football Supporters Europe (FSC) called the prices a monumental betrayal of match-going fans and urged FIFA to call a halt to the sale process. Fans loyal fans hoping to access tickets to their national association's travel programs and loyalty schemes discovered on Thursday that the cheapest final ticket would cost US $4,185 tickets. So that's actually £3,120. That is quite pricey. The Football Association shared pricing information with the England Supporters Travel Club, the ESTC, on Thursday evening, which showed that if a fan bought the cheapest ticket for every game through to the final, it would cost $7,020. That's £5,228. These tickets are ring fence, fixed price tickets FIFA had pledged to set aside for national associations, known as the Participant Member Associations (PMA) allocation, following the controversy over FIFA adopting a dynamic pricing strategy in early ticket sales. The PMA allocations equate to 8% of a stadium's capacity for each game. An England fan buying a ticket in the most expensive category for each game would end up spending about 16,590 US dollars, or about 12,364 pounds, which is insane. As an England fan who managed to buy tickets in the fan first category at the Euro 2024, could have watched every game for €375. That's £328. While even a supporter who bought all the tickets in the next category would have spent over €860 or 753 pounds. On a post on X, England Fans Association said, quote unquote, These prices are a slap in the face to supporters who support their team outside of the flagship tournament that appears every 4 years. To call, and said, continuing the quote says, to call the Category 3 tickets the cheapest available to the European supporters members. Supporter value Category 3 that comes at a cost of 7,020 US dollars if you want to follow England from start to finish is laughable. Um, a game of supporters loyalty has been thrown out the window, and supporters of the pricing participating nations have been let down. The FSC said from the ticket price information it had available, supporting your own team from the first game to the final at the 2026 tournament would cost 5 times as much as at the last tournament in Qatar in 2022. Um, the statement said, quote unquote, football supporters Europe is astonished by the extortionate ticket prices imposed by FIFA on the most dedicated supporters for next year's World Cup. And it says, quote unquote, this is a monumental betrayal of the tradition of the World Cup, ignoring the contribution of supporters to the spectacle that it is. We call on FIFA to immediately halt PMA ticket sales, engage in consultation with all impacted parties, and reveal ticket prices and category distribution under a solution that respects the tradition, universality, and cultural significance of the World Cup is found. FSC pointed, quote unquote, FSC pointed out rather than adopting a standard price across all group matches, pricing appeared to have been calculated depending on the vague criteria such as perceived attractiveness of the fixture. England supporters can expect to pay at least £198 for a ticket to the opening match against Croatia in Dallas on June 17th. Tickets for the subsequent group games against Ghana and Panama will start at US $220. That's 164 pounds, British pounds. Um, the English, so of course, I'm just kind of blazing through things here. The Scottish Football Association also confirmed its PMA allocation pricing on Thursday, with the cheapest tickets for the match against Haiti in Boston costing 180 US dollars. That's 134 pounds, up to 500 US dollars, 372 pounds. The cheapest tickets for the second game against Morocco, also in Boston, start at the United States $222. That's 164 pounds. While the final group game against Brazil in Miami will cost a minimum of 265 US dollars, 198 pounds. So we have already mentioned that this, so the English fans have major issues with the ticket prices going on. This is from MSN, from the Independent here talking about that. So kind of going into it, talking about the ticket prices, it says fans hoping to buy tickets for the 2026 World Cup can enter FIFA's random selection draw, which is open until January 13th. And this is from athlonsports.com. Um, this article was written, was it December, sometime in December. I don't see the date here. It says here the 2026 World Cup will kick off on June 11th, featuring a total of 104 matches with 48 national teams participating. Earlier in December, the World Cup draw determined the matchups among the national teams, which are split into 12 groups. However, one of the remaining questions ahead of the World Cup is ticket prices. When do they go on sale? How much are they? And where can you purchase them? So FIFA announced the random selection draw, which started on December 11th, 2025, and will run until January 13th, 2026. Fans will need to create a FIFA ID or sign in on the FIFA website to enter the draw. Due to the length of the draw being favorable for fans, the timing of a fan's application will not impact their chances of success. FIFA provided the following instructions for the random selection draw for a chance to get tickets. So We already have the information there. Number one, create a FIFA account or sign in to access the random selection draw. Number two, submit your application to the random selection draw and select the matches categories and number of tickets you want per match or the matches you are interested in for purchasing. And third, it says add payment details. You will be notified on a later date if you are successful in the draw. FIFA advises fans that their card will be charged automatically if they add their payment details um, when they submit their application. So we have this information here, and wow, the ticket prices are quite expensive. So I'm just skipping ahead here. So among it says here that the World Cup tickets vary for specific matches in each group. Among the most expensive ticket prices are the opening match of the 2026 World Cup on June 11th between Mexico and South Africa, and the World Cup final, which is on July 19th, 2026. The random selection draw has shown some of the ticket prices for certain games. Each match has three categories for tickets: Category 1, Category 2, and Category 3. The following ticket prices were seen at the random selection draw. With the opening match against Mexico versus South Africa in Mexico City, the tickets start roughly at 2,355 US dollars. For Category 2, the ticket prices are at 1,705 US dollars. Category 3 tickets for the opening match start at $1,020. That's the insane amount for the ticket prices. Um, Next, we have the World Cup final in New York, New Jersey. Category 1 tickets start at $8,680 for ticket prices. Category 2 tickets start at $5,575. Category 3 tickets start at $4,185 for the World Cup finals. Now, what in the world is FIFA doing? The winning World Cup champions, I'm just skipping ahead here. The winning World Cup champions, Argentina, will play their first match of the 2026 World Cup against Algeria on June 16, 2026 in Kansas City Stadium. Category 1, the ticket prices start at $700. Category 2, the ticket prices start at $500. And Category 3, the ticket prices start at $265. Whew. So the Athletic reported in November this year, continuing forward, that the November that the ticket price range for parking is between $75 and $175. The parking tickets highly depend on the location of the matches, especially in the U.S. On top of the highly expensive tickets for the matches, fans are concerned about what the exact prices will be when arriving at the stadiums in the U.S. So FIFA is affiliated with Just Park, which will determine the parking prices for each match in the United States, especially now that the World Cup draw has confirmed that the matches will be where they are placed, which is wow, that is crazy. Um, $8,000 for the final, $7,000 for the final. Man, they are insane. But thankfully enough, guys, FIFA is paying attention to it. There's a lot of outcry going on. Um, that FIFA, I'm trying to get that. There we go, right there. According to ESPN, FIFA slashed some of the 2026 World Cup ticket prices because there was a huge backlash. Um, it's happened this on June 16th. We're coming to the end of our live stream for today. So FIFA has slashed its ticket prices. Um, on December 16th, ESPN reported that FIFA slashed the prices of some of the World Cup tickets for teams most loyal fans are following a global backlash that will get some will get $60 tickets for the final instead of being asked to pay $4,185 for ticket prices, which is insane. FIFA said Tuesday that $60 tickets will be made available for every game at the tournament in North America, going to the national federations whose teams are playing. Those federations decide how to distribute them to loyal fans who have attended previous games at home and on the road. The number of $60 tickets for each game is likely to be in the hundreds rather than thousands, in what FIFA is now calling a supporter entry tier price category. FIFA did not specify exactly why it was so dramatically changed strategy, but said that the lower prices are designed to further support traveling fans following their national teams across the tournament. The World Cup in North America will be the first edition that features 48 teams, up from 32 that is expected to earn FIFA at least $10 billion in revenue. But fans worldwide reacted with shock and anger last week on seeing FIFA's ticketing plans that gave participating teams no tickets in the lowest price category. The cheapest tickets ranged from $120 to $265 for the group stage games that did not involve co-hosts the United States, Mexico, and Canada. The English Football Association shared price information with the English Supporters Travels Club, which showed that if a fan bought a ticket for every game through to the final, it would cost just over $7,000. The target from the United States soccer officials when bidding for the tournament 7 years ago was to offer hundreds of thousands of $21 tickets across the opening phase of games. The last time the U.S. hosted World Cup in 1994, prices ranged from $25 to $475. And Qatar, prices ranged from just around $70 to $1,600 when ticket prices were announced. Criticism from fans, especially in Europe, have been increasingly for several months over the plans for dynamic pricing extra fees on a FIFA-run resale platform, both features which are common in the U.S. entertainment industry but not to soccer fans worldwide. Fan organization of Football Supporters Europe welcomed FIFA's move Tuesday but said the revisions do not go far enough to reconcile and pointed to the absence of a pricing structure for disabled fans or complimentary companion tickets. A statement added, quote unquote, for the moment we are looking at the FIFA announcement as nothing more than an appeasement tactic due to the global negative backlash, quote unquote. Sorry, continuing, we have called upon FIFA to engage in a proper dialogue to arrive at a solution that respects the contribution of fans and the dignity of fans with disabilities, quote unquote. FIFA allocates 8% of tickets to national associations for games involving the team to sell to the most fans, with the governing body saying Tuesday that 10% of those will be priced at $60. For the final, around 450 um, of the 4,500 tickets would be available at that discounted rate. The UK Prime Minister um, Keir Starmer has urged FIFA to go further. He said, quote unquote, quote, I welcome FIFA's announcement at some lower priced supporters tickets. He posted on X, quote unquote, but he says continuing, but as someone who's used to save up for England tickets, I encourage FIFA to do some more to make tickets more affordable so that the World Cup doesn't lose touch with genuine supporters who make the game so special. That's what he said, quote unquote. A FIFA official close to the discussions told the PA that the organizations had listened to feedback and this new category is the right thing to do. Um, FIFA noted that it reinvents the revenue it generates from the FIFA World Cup to fuel the growth of men's, women's, and youth football throughout the 211 FIFA member associations. Um, so it says here there have been 20 million ticket requests since the third phase of ticket sales began last Friday. FIFA says the random quote unquote the random selection draw phase, which allowed fans to request tickets for specific matches for the first time, runs through January 13th, 2026, with successful applicants to be notified by email um, in February and charged automatically. At the clampdown Tuesday, FIFA said it would waive its administrative fees when refunds are made after the July 19th final. So FIFA has made some big blunders and they have definitely made some big changes as well to their ticket sales, which they're charging $7,000, people $7,000 to $8,000 for tickets, which is insane. And I know I've mentioned this before that FIFA has um, FIFA is doing the same, almost did the same thing that WWE has done in its heydays, charging fans a ridiculous amount of money. And fans have to go to WrestleMania 42. I know I'm getting off topic, but to go to WrestleMania 42, guys, you got to spend $40,000, $38,000 to go to WrestleMania 42, and that's all the way in Saudi Arabia. In and I'm not going to WrestleMania. That's not happening for sure. I'll just watch it on TV, and it's much easier. Um, but continuing here, this is the most recent article from Sports Illustrated. This is the last article we're covering. So Gianni Infantino has broken his silence on what has been going down with the ticket prices, and he is mentioning that this is insane. So Gianni Infantino, according to the Sports Illustrated article, says that it's absolutely crazy that this is happening. So continuing here, and it's kudos. Got to give a shout out to the English, to the um, um, European fan club for definitely paying attention to the ticket prices and calling them out on it and doing us all a favor. So it says here, FIFA President Gianni Infantino gave an emphatic defense of the heavily criticized 2026 World Cup ticket prices, citing the unprecedented demand as the reason behind the sky-high prices. In some instances, ticket sales for the 2026 World Cup are 5 times more expensive than in previous tournament in Qatar in 2022, prompting swift and severe backlash from fans all over the world. Speaking at the World Sports Summit in Dubai, Gianni Infantino gave the reasoning behind the high prices, making a massive revelation. Gianni Infantino said, quote unquote, "We have 6 to 7 million tickets on sale," he said via BBC Sport. And in 15 days, we received 150 million ticket requests. So 100, so 10 million ticket requests every single day. It shows how powerful the World Cup is. And he also says, quote unquote, in almost 100 years of the World Cup, FIFA has sold 44 million tickets in total. So in 2 weeks, we could have filled 300 years of World Cups. Imagine that. This is absolutely crazy. Quote unquote. Um, So continuing here, the article says the high prices will make going to stadiums across the United States, Mexico, and Canada during the World Cup for a once in a generation event simply unaffordable for fans. FIFA's response to the backlash was to open a new restricted tier of tickets at $60 for every game. Infantino revealed that they were aware of the critics when he described as feedback that the cheaper tier was the right thing to do. Still, the rest of the eye-watering ticket prices, plenty of which reach four figures, remain unchanged. Huh, that go figure. So they haven't really updated, changed anything. It's no secret that FIFA will get a massive piece of the World Cup ticket pie, with the 2026 World Cup being the first 48-team tournament on top of the astronomical prices. The money generated from ticket sales will be unprecedented. Speaking on the matter, Gianni Infantino made sure to detail where FIFA will be reinvesting the revenue from its handsome slice. Gianni Infantino said, quote unquote, "What's crucial is that the revenues are generated from this are going back into the game all over the world. Without FIFA, there would be no football in 150 countries in the world. There is football because, and thanks to these revenues we generate with and from the World Cup, which we invest all over the world." Quote unquote. Only time will tell if Infantino's repeated promise to help the sport all over the world becomes a concrete reality. What's certain is that the economic revenue generated from the World Cup ticket sales could make a significant impact. So, I mean, what else can we say? The FIFA is here. It's going to be here within the next few months in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. And what did he say? He said they had 6 to 7 million tickets on sale, and they received 150 million ticket requests. So a lot of people want to come to the United States and be here for the World Cup. I see that with only 10 million ticket sales, 10 million ticket requests every day. So a lot of people still love the World Cup. They love to see this massive event happening. And I know how we love football here. We love the Super Bowl in the U.S. But this event in the United States could it's not going to be that popular in the United States. It will have some popularity, but the the World Cup is played all over the world. People play soccer all over the world, 150 countries, and I would say that the World Cup is bigger than the Super Bowl. That's just a fact. And they will generate a lot of money from it, but hopefully they did introduce a lower tier price ticket range for these tickets. They're saying they're charging $60 for tickets instead of charging $4,000. Um, there's a lot that has to be said here. We'll have to see what will happen with this situation going forward. I wanted to definitely bring some other news to you guys for today, for 2020, for December 31st. The day is almost gone. But I want to make sure that I can get as much content as I can today. I know I'm covering the football news today. There's a lot more that I could have included, but I wasn't able. I can't include everything that I'm discussing today in one video. It's just too much. It's too much to cover. So I'm gonna make sure I have some other news that I found that I want to make sure I can bring to all of you to let you know what's happening. So I want everybody to stay to make sure you stay tuned for that, and just wait to hear the news about what's going on with the next live stream that I'm going to be covering. So I hope everybody enjoyed this one. I hope this was an educational live stream for everyone out there, and I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the 2025 going into 2026. This it's the new this year is ending, a new year is beginning, and I hope everybody will enjoy it. So I'll see you guys in the next live stream, and also see you if I don't see you in the next live stream. If I don't see you, talk to you today in 2025. I'll be talking to you in the next live stream. We talk for 2026. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Thank you for listening in, and I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.